everybody. We are super excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. We are so stoked to be able to share a little bit more information with you about iO-Sphere. This is our very first webinar. So welcome to our esteemed guests. So today, for our chat, we are going to be sharing a lot more information with you about iO-Sphere and what you can expect from our training program. I am welcomed by our amazing colleagues and the rest of the team, and I will chat you through what you can expect for the call. Before I do all of that, I am Danielle. I'm the talent partner here at iO-Sphere. I joined the company in December last year, and something that I must say about this excellent team is that we are really invested in having and supporting our students through their journey with us and getting them jobs within the data engineering, data analytics realm, and supporting you through the process. So for the rest of today's discussion, what we'll do is just go through a couple of very key aspects for us regarding your journey with iO-Sphere from before you even get onboarded onto our program. So we'll discuss the admissions process. We'll also go into the student's experience through acquire and apply. We'll also then cover Accelerate and what you can expect with that, what that is. I'm sure some of you might be having some questions around that. And then the actual student experience. We have two really cool guests who are currently completing the program right now. So they'll give you their account. Don't take it from us. Take it from them. And then lastly, we'll conclude the call with just a couple of Q&As from our side. All right. So I'm just going to share a quick video. This should tell you all there is to know about iO-Sphere. I do encourage you to check out our socials. We have a Instagram page. We've got a LinkedIn page. Visit our website. There you'll find additional information on top of what we are sharing with you today. So here's the video.
Simulated real-life data training that gives you the experience employers are looking for and only pay when you land the job. Step into the real world of data on day one of training. Our curriculum immerses you in a synthetic e-commerce business that works on 500+ million rows of data. Our industry experience coaches teach you all the real technical, professional, business, and career skills employers are looking for. Our curriculum is split into 3 parts: Acquire, Apply, and Accelerate. Acquire. The first part of our curriculum teaches you the hands-on data skills you need in partnership with DataCamp, so anyone with any level of data knowledge can learn. Apply. You will then apply all your skills in our fully immersed scenario, where you form part of a high-functioning data team. Accelerate. Our commitment doesn't end there. We provide ongoing career coaching, job search support, technical projects, and more. We've made exceptional training and careers more accessible by breaking down financial barriers. You can start training now and pay over up to 24 months once you've landed your new job. Plus, we offer various types of financial aid, including bursaries to help with living costs and 1 full fellowship per cohort. We cover all upfront costs of your training, and you only have to pay us back once you are earning above £30,000. We've aligned our incentives with your career goals. We're with you until you land your next job in data. Plus, if you land a job with one of our network employers, your training is completely free. Apply today and step into the world of data with confidence.
All right, there you have it. And as you saw during the webinar, during the video, there are some additional resources, so we definitely encourage you to check that out as well. All right.
Real-life data training that gives you
Cool. Let's share that again. All right, without further ado, here we go. I'm going to hand over to my wonderful colleague, Rifat. Rifat is part of our admissions team, and he's going to take you through everything there is to know from application all the way through to onboarding. Rifat, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Really appreciate it. Just to reintroduce myself, name's Rifat Majid. I am one of the admissions managers here at iO-Sphere, and I'm just going to walk you through our full admissions process, helping you to get to know how we onboard our students, what we look at as well. So the first step for us, of course, is you taking the first step. Right, so we have a number of options with regards to our programs. So for example, we have two different streams. We have data analytics and data engineering. All right. For data engineering, I'll put this up front. There's only one option where you have a hybrid approach for data engineering. So it is a 10-week program where the first 5 weeks of the program you will do, it will be completely remote. So you do this at the comfort of your own home. And then the second 5 weeks, it will be a hybrid approach where for 3 days a week, you will need to go into the office in the London campus, where that's in Middlesex Street, and the postcode there is E17EZ. All right, so data engineering is going to be the only option for that is our hybrid approach. However, our data analytics program is the one that we have a bit more, I would say, structure around and different options for you. So outside of the data engineering, data analytics is our one that's also coming up. So if you are choosing this option, you can do our data analytics from a remote setting. So you can do the entire 10 weeks from the comfort of your own home, or you can do it in the hybrid approach like the data engineering program, right? However, that doesn't just stop there. We also have a full-time and a part-time option. So our full-time option, of course, it's done over 10 weeks. Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You will need to be available to do the program. If you're doing it in a remote setting, of course, that time frame still applies. However, our part-time program is done over a longer period. It's done over 16 weeks. Right? When it comes to the time frames that you would need to be available, it is going to be in the evenings on a Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6 p.m. to about 9 p.m. in the evening. Right? Our part-time program is also, when you look at it, it is going to be 60% of the time you're going to be in lectures, and another 40% of the time it will be something where you have it at self-paced as well. Now, when you look at our programs, taking that first step is understanding these parts of the program, right? So when you click on that apply step, that's going to be the first step. You'll firstly have to establish if you are going to join one of those programs or one of those paths as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? So when you are clicking on the apply step, you are going to have to submit a few details because we review each and every candidate that comes through our funnel, right? And some of the information we will ask of you is, for one, is to provide your CV or resume, your current right to work status. So if you are a British citizen, it won't be necessary. You can just provide us with a passport to prove that. But if you are on a visa, for example, you will need to provide us with your share code, for example, just for us to verify your current right to work status. The rest of the steps is choosing a start date and then also providing us with some contact details. All right. Once we have this information, we'll go through our screening process. Where myself and Nish and Danelle that's on the call will go through your application. We process applications within 24 hours. All right, so this does exclude the weekends. So if you have processed the application on a Friday, you likely will get feedback by the Monday. But just in terms of the overall application, some of the outcomes you might receive from us screening this is one of three options. All right, so the first thing that will happen when we do screen your application, you will either receive a call or an email from myself or one of the team members. The call will, for one, evaluate you on the call, better understand your current motivation for looking at the program and looking at the best possible option for you. For example, if you are a working professional, to make an example, our full-time program might not be suitable for you. We will probably recommend our part-time program. right? So that's the first step, is us obviously screening your application, and then from there, either just having a quick consultation with myself or one of my colleagues, or sending you through to the next step. So this is if we do think, you are a good candidate in terms of your current right to work status, your CV in terms of your interest does seem to be aligned with our career goals that we look to assist you with. Then the next step for us is to invite you to an interview, right? Now, the interview process, what will happen is after my call or an email from myself, you will get a link where you will book an interview. Right now, when you do receive that link, you will have about 3 days to book that interview. So if you do click it, for example, on a Monday, you'll have the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to schedule your interview. If you are clicking on the button on a Wednesday, you will have the Thursday, Friday, and the Monday to book your interview. Right, but so you get the option of choosing your day you want to be interviewed. And when you are interviewed, it will be about a 15-minute interview of us evaluating you as a student, checking your motivation again. And for us, this is just another layer of quality check from our side, because we do look to have the right students on our profile. We want to ensure that the students that we are currently onboarding is going to benefit from the program. And of course, when they do complete the program, that they are able to really secure a job within 6 months after they're done with it as well. Now, the third set of communication that you might have received, if you have received a call or an interview where you might have an unsuccessful application, right? Some of the reasons for an unsuccessful application will be that your current CV might not set up well, to make an example, or you might not have the right experience. So just to clarify this point, we don't require you to have any specific experience before starting the program. However, the program is presented at a level 5 and above in terms of the actual content. So for us, if we are unable to reach you via a call and you don't schedule an interview, for example, we are likely going to drop off your application if you aren't there to really present yourself and explain exactly where your experience is coming from, just to make an example. So from an unsuccessful application perspective, this is one of the communications you might receive due to the fact that your application was invalid for that reason, or your right to work checks has been unsuccessful. And one of the criteria there is if you are choosing our try now and pay later model, like you saw in the video, we do require your visa to expire after 36 months. If it's anything earlier than 36 months, we likely are unable to provide you with a try now and pay later option. So just giving you a heads up there. Next slide, please. So when you are looking at obviously going through the process after receiving an interview, if we are happy with you as a student and we do think we've come to an agreement in the interview or on the call with myself, you would likely receive an offer. Right, so usually, like from our perspective, like on our program, you can't just go onto our website, click on it and pay for our program. We are looking to really get the right students through the door with us. So if you have received an offer, there is a bit of a process from there. Right, so what will happen? You will get an email, and there will be 2 sets of documents that you'll need to complete. The first set of documents is a signing the contract that we do offer. And on the contract, what's going to be important for you here is selecting your payment option, and also just reading through the overall terms and conditions and agreeing to those terms. Right now, our try now and pay later has been explained, but just to go over that, if you do go through our program, you won't pay almost anything before the program starts. You'll only start paying once you land a job. And when you do land a job, you will need to earn a minimum of £30,000 per year. And you will have 3 options. You will either pay this upfront when you get a job, you'll pay it over 12 months or 24 months. The option will be yours, right? Another thing from our perspective, we also work with 25 plus companies within our employer network. And if you do fall part of between 20 to 60% of our cohort, which is your employability, you have good work ethic and just overall skill level, we will put you forward to our employer network. If there is jobs available within our employer network, you will be put forward. And if you are hired, they'll cover the program fees for you and refund any amounts that you've paid upfront as well. Right, so this is all stipulated within our contract as well. So the first step is going through that contract. If you want to move forward, you will sign on the dotted line there, right? Once you go through this next step, then you will be sent our next instructions, which is our StepX process. So StepX, they are a partner with us to ensure that students can do our try now and pay later option to do our program. And can you just move to the next slide? So you'll be presented with, when you do click on the link that's sent to you, you will get this page that you can see on your screen. All right, so it'll say apply now. Now, once you apply, once you sign your initial contract, you will receive a reference code as well as your student number. All right, so when you click apply on StepX, you will go through about 8 different steps to actually complete your StepX profile. And when you are going through these 8 steps, it is important that you've signed your contract first. What we have seen in the past is we've made offers to students and they go to StepX to sign up and they seem to get stuck. And the main reason for that is they haven't signed the initial contract. StepX won't allow you to move past the second stage because you need your reference code as well as your student number to actually move forward in the process. And just to give you a view of how this looks, just if you can go to the next slide. Danny? All right. So as you can see, there's going to be 8 steps. It can look quite intimidating, but I promise it does go very quickly. So when you go through your first step, it's just providing us with that your personal details. And you will see on your step 2, this is where you're going to provide your reference code. All right. What's important within all of these steps, one is step number 2 is your main part. Step number 3 is basically going to verify everything you've done within your contract. Your step 4 and 5 is also quite important, specifically step number 5, as a credit check will be done there. Now, the credit check can take some time, depending on the time you're doing it. So if you are going to step 5, you sometimes will take about 30 minutes to an hour and sometimes even 2 hours for the most. But this is only for StepX to review your overall profile, because they'll be taking the risk of you joining the program and only paying back when you get a job, of course. Right? After the credit check is done, this is where we'll basically come to the latter part of the admissions process, where you will get the final confirmation and your last signature with StepX as well. Right now, up until this point, this is the final step from a StepX perspective, but it's not the end of the road from our perspective. So what will happen is, once you've completed this process, this will come back to us, to iO-Sphere. And what we will do from this stage onwards is firstly secure your spot, as we do have limited spots on our program. And then the next step from there is uploading all your onboarding material. So signing you up to some of our programs like TeachFloor. We'll also provide you with the kit, which is Microsoft Office. You'll get your PowerBI logins as well as your BigQuery logins, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Right, so this is all you will get once you've fully completed. You will get a quick guide on what you need to get set up. And if you are looking to join the program with an Apple Mac, there is some technical issues we do have with MacBooks. However, if you download the application called Parallels allows you to use Microsoft applications, right? So if you don't have another device and you only have a MacBook Pro, that would assist you in joining. However, any other Windows device or Chromebook, you should be able to participate in the program without any hassles as well, right? Now, just in terms of that process, it can take 24 hours to 48 hours if you're quite quick, but it also can take a bit longer than that. However, just in terms of the full process, we do try to leave you as the student to your own devices to make informed decisions within each step. So, for example, after you've applied for the program, we consult with you and then you can schedule an interview. After the interview is done, we will submit an offer to you, and then from that perspective, everything will be in your court in terms of completing your contract as well as your StepX information. All right, so the important part here is that from our perspective, we want to ensure that you are well informed in each process from your perspective as a student, but then from a company perspective, we also want to ensure that the best students are coming in onto our program, that we have the good likelihood of helping you succeed in your career as well. But yeah, that would conclude our full experience around our student journey in the beginning. So just to ask, is James available?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so Danny, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rifat. We really appreciate that. So, without further ado, there you have it. You have all the information that you can expect for the different steps within our application to onboarding process. Now, I will be handing over to our co-founder, James. James is going to be taking you through everything that there is to know around the student experience. James, you can take it away.
Hi there, my name is James, and I am one of the co-founders of iO-Sphere. Thank you very much for being with us here today. Just as a little bit of background about myself, my background is mostly in industry itself in terms of building and scaling out of analytics, pricing, and data science teams. I've mostly worked in tech companies myself. So I was at hotels.com for 3.5 years. There I was always working in marketing analytics, customer analytics, a lot on the big loyalty program that they have. And then I was also at a fintech company called World Remit, which is sort of like a digital Western Union, where I also was helping to build them out a team. Across both companies, I think I probably interviewed about 400 analysts and then hired maybe 75 or something like that. And so I had spent a lot of time in the last 7 or 8 years interviewing, training, and managing and mentoring data analysts. And we created this program in order to help make people into the best possible candidates. They can go and land a job in data. Because one of the things which we see a lot is that a lot of traditional training, boot camps, master's degrees, undergraduate programs, all that kind of thing, it's fundamentally not very fit for purpose in this space. It tends to be too theoretical, a traditional teacher classroom environment. And it doesn't give people the skills and experience that employers actually need and want to see through the application process. And more importantly, when they get into that role, they want to see people that are able to hit the ground running. And so we created iO-Sphere 2 years ago with the idea being that we can actually just train and equip people with the skills and experience that you actually need to go and successfully land a job in data, and then support you all the way through until you do that. And so what I'm going to talk about in my section is the way that the course is structured through acquire, apply, and accelerate. These are the 3 sections of our program. And the important thing to keep in mind is throughout this entire curriculum, what we've done is we've built it with employers with the idea being that we can create the best possible data analysts, data engineers, so that you can be a great candidate and you can actually go and land a job in data off the back of it. So the first half of the program, it's called Acquire, and this is where you'll be learning a lot of the technical and professional skills that are required to be a great data professional in today's modern companies. It's fully remote for all of our programs. And what we do is we really go through all the technical skills in particular that are required. So from an analytics perspective, we start with SQL, doing an introduction to one of the main coding languages that exists across all data professions. Before we progress into Excel, the workhorse of all data teams, basically. If you master that, then we'll move on to Python. We'll spend a full week on PowerBI, which is one of the leading dashboarding and visualization tools that exists out there, before coming back to advanced SQL, because SQL really is the bread and butter coding language for all data roles. This is actually how you get data out of systems, how you transform it, and how you move it to different places. In the 5th week, what we do is we bring this all together. We do an interview process just like you would in the real world, and make sure that you've got all the skills and knowledge and experience that you need to then move into the apply half of the program. Our approach to training is very different than what exists that's out there. So we have a synthetic company that we call Prism. It's a fast fashion e-commerce company similar to ASOS. And what we do is we pair best-in-class online interactive coding sessions delivered by a company called Data Camp. Some of our coaches actually come from Data Camp. With live synchronous sessions with our amazing coaches. All of our coaches come from industry because we want to make sure that we've got people teaching you who've actually done the job themselves, so they know what's actually important. And we also aim to have a really high coach to trainee ratio. So we usually have about 1 coach for every 10 or 12 people that are on the program, which means that we can take a very personalized approach in terms of how we support people all the way through. Once people have learned the skills that they get through Data Camp, what we then do is we work through different assignments and projects in order to show you how to take those skills in a very theoretical context and apply them in the real world, which is how you really start to build up the skills and experience that are required by companies. After acquire, we then move into the apply half of the program, which is really fun. It's very different than anything else that's out there. And this is where you'll be coming to work in our synthetic e-commerce company, and you'll be working in teams in order to deliver projects just like you would in the real world. Each week, we'll be briefing in a new project from our stakeholders and the different members of the company. And we'll be working with you in order to interpret those, put them in the context of the business, use the new skills that you acquired during acquire, and then being able to take projects all the way through to completion, being able to create impactful presentations, practicing speaking in front of an audience, and delivering recommendations with great impact off the back of it. For the apply half of the program, if you are doing a full-time program, you have the option of doing it fully remotely or doing it here at one of our training centers in London. We also have a training center in Manchester where we run our analytics programs. All of our part-time programs are fully remote, and they take place during the evenings during the week. Once you graduate from the full-time part of our program, if we go ahead to the next slide. Actually, first, to give you an idea of the kind of projects that we're going to be working with, we've built these projects to mirror just the similar kind of projects that you would be delivering in the real world. And this is how you build up the actual experience that you need to then go and translate that into your interview processes. What we hear time and time again is a lot of people have a lot of skills, but what companies really want these days are experience. And so our entire program is based around the idea that we can give you that experience in a compressed time period. So we also, in particular, we run analytics and engineering programs. And one of the cool things that we do is that those programs interact with each other, just like they would in the real world. In terms of some of the projects that we do, we create KPIs and dashboards using real data that we have here at Prism. We think about performance. We work on segmentations, how we can break customers down into different groups and audiences. We focus a lot on conversion rates and funnels and how it is that we can make our website and marketing work better. And my personal favorite is that we do a business case around a loyalty program, which is actually what I've done a lot of through my career out there in the real world. Our engineering programs are built the same way. They're very much about mimicking the type of work that you would do in the real world. And so we spend a lot of time building, breaking, and fixing data pipelines, understanding how we warehouse and create clean data sets, how we can do that efficiently, and how we can really start to restructure some of the data sets that we have in order to make them much more useful and much more productive with the types of people that we work with, which might be data analysts or data scientists or reporting and that kind of thing. What's really cool, if we go to the next slide, what's really cool about iO-Sphere and Prism, which is our synthetic fast fashion e-commerce company, is that we use real data. So we have access to 500 million rows of real data that we have in the cloud in Google's BigQuery, so Google's cloud platform, GCP. And so this is exactly what it's like when you're out there in a real job. We're working with real data sets, which makes it a lot more fun, a lot realer. And again, is how we contribute towards giving you the actual skills and experience that you need to then go and land a job in data. Go to the next slide, please. But we know that just getting the skills and experience is not enough, because what people who come through our programs really want is they want outcomes. And outcomes are being able to land their first job in data, be able to get their next job in data, being able to transition to a career in data. And so we really want to make sure that we're supporting people all the way through until they are able to achieve that outcome. We don't just drop you once you're done with the intensive part of the program. We keep on supporting you because it's most important to us that you get the outcome that you want to. Part of that you can see through our train now, pay later financing options, because that really aligns our incentives with your career outcomes. Our goal is to make sure we find the right people, give you the right training, and then support you all the way through until you actually land that next job in data. And so a large part of what we do after the program is we've got 6 months of ongoing accelerated coaching. This is where we accelerate your career. We have amazing professional career coaches that you will meet with every week in order to support you in your motivation through the job searching process. We show you how to make a great CV, how to work on your LinkedIn. We do a lot of interview practice because interviewing is a skill that we can learn like any other. We also give you access to your data camp licenses for another 6 months after you graduate from the intensive part of the program, which means that you can keep practicing your technical skills, you can learn new skills, and you can stay up to date. And we provide other projects as well, because we know that you need all the different skills in order to actually go and land that job in data. The career coaching is really special, and it's something we spend a lot of time building out this year. If we go to the next slide, please. Here you can see some of the comments from some of our previous students who graduated from the program. But really, by supporting you through the job search process, this is how we're able to make sure that you're able to achieve the outcome that you want to during your job search. This means that we can help hold you accountable to your search, but we can also support you through the program. We can work on your CVs, we can practice interviews with you, we can make sure that you're able to keep going and to land that job that you want to off the back of the program. We also do work with a network of employers that hire some of the very best people out of the program. It's obviously not a given, but during Accelerate is where when we get job requests from some of our partners, and we work with a lot of data consultancies, in particular, people like 5Y, Beyond, Sagacity, in order to hire people out of the program. And then what we do is we take some of the best performers for the program and we put them in front of our employers. And as Rifat said earlier, if you get hired by one of our partner employers, which is by no means guaranteed, but then your training is completely free, and that's because your employer has agreed to completely fund the training on your behalf. Go to the next slide, please.
All right.
Over to you, Danny.
Thank you so much, James. All right, so you've heard it from our co-founder, and he has spoken you through everything that there is to know, all the way from acquire, apply, and accelerate. So don't just take it from us. We've brought in the real big guns, our very own students who are currently on the program. And I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Kisham, who's going to chat you through his current experience. So Kisham, over to you.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, everyone. My name is Kishan. Like you can see on the slide, I am an active student right now. We're actually in our final week of the acquire stage. There's apply stage. Apply. Sorry, we've got a big presentation tomorrow. It's quite stressful. So I just wanted to go you through how I got to iO-Sphere, what I was doing before, why I joined iO-Sphere, and what really I've found really valuable during the whole process. So pre-iO-Sphere, I'm actually a earthquake engineer. I've had 5 years experience, and I saw that I had a lot of transferable skills, and I was more and more interested in data. So I wanted to transition into data science, data analytics, but I was finding it very difficult to career switch. Even though I felt I had app technical skills, I was already quite good with Python and Excel, and actually pretty familiar with PowerBI, but it didn't seem like any of the data consultancies I was applying for was taking me in. And when I found iO-Sphere, the thing that got me to join really was, especially when you've heard from our co-founders and repeatedly that there's an apply stage and the acquire stage. I was a little bit hesitant at the beginning, actually, when I thought the apply stage was going to be remote and it was effectively a data camp course. And I kind of thought, well, what was the reason? Why would I not just get my own data camp license and learn these skills myself? The hook for me was the fact that actually we would be immediately applying those skills into real life scenarios and effectively creating actionable impact. So even though the first 5 weeks is remote and you have assignments on data camp, which you need to complete every week, which, by the way, is also about 20 hours a week. So it is quite a lot of content to learn, quite a lot of content to get through. But alongside that, we had these things called fire drills, curveballs, which were effectively our stakeholders in our simulated company giving us requests, ad hoc requests that we'd have to deal with. And they're called fire drills because it's quite intense, short period of time given, and a lot to get done. But that really made my technical skills feel more valuable and more real. So I was really able to, even before getting to the in-person apply stage, I felt a lot more confident with the skill set that I've got from Data Camp. And then apply just took it to the next level, where, especially being in person, and we actually, even though there's a in person and in remote, we get to collaborate together. So it really did feel, as a person who has been in industry for a different sector, but it really simulated a professional environment. And that to me is what I really gained from this whole experience, where even though I already felt kind of comfortable with my technical skill set, this now makes me feel a lot more confident going to a new company and actually hit the ground running. And I feel like I am not just going to be there with a good technical skill set data analyst. I'm actually going to be able to provide impact in whatever industry I land the job in. And I'll hand it over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kishan. Right, next up we've got Matthew, and he's going to be sharing his experience with us.
Yeah, so I'm Matthew. As I said on the slide, I graduated from Nottingham-Trent only last year, so I don't really have as much experience in the industry as Kishan does. But from my uni course, I did sport engineering. There was a lot of data analysis in it, and that's sort of, I really enjoyed it. It's sort of where my passion for data analysis and wanting to become a data analyst started. But all I really did at uni was Excel. So going into like post-uni looking at jobs, I didn't have the necessary experience or knowledge, like technical knowledge, to get anywhere in the job hunt. Which was then where iO-Sphere came in. So I thought I knew I needed to up my technical knowledge. So I did one boot camp, but that was only on Python. So then when I saw iO-Sphere had multiple, had SQL, Power BI, and Excel, I thought this is like the real deal. I'm getting everything I need in one. And then so yeah, going through the acquire, I thought it was good to be able to go at my own pace, but still learn a lot of content. And then when it gets to the apply stage, like Kishan, the big thing was about it being in person. Like you sort of get a feel for doing the job on the job, like as in a job simulation in a way. Like you're coming into the office to get the job done, work through what the stakeholder's been asking of you, and I think that's really valuable for future. So you can, because it's very similar to what you're going to get in like a real life job. So yeah, that's what really drew me to iO-Sphere. And then as James was saying about the career coaching in the Accelerate stage, you're not just left to your own devices afterwards. So they value getting the job. So they're always there for you. So say if you, like for me, I struggle say with CVs and stuff like that. They've really gone deep into my CV and how to improve it, and then to be able to have these people around me to help get the job later, I think that's really valuable. And it's another further way of iO-Sphere standing out to me, was that they're personable and they want the best for you, but they will help you at the same time.
Right. Thank you so much, Matthew. So yeah, people, there we have it. In terms of this program, it's really, I would say, something that is quite holistic. The first 5 weeks really dedicated to getting you that technical foundational knowledge that you need. And then on top of that, we have the practical applications, really putting you in an environment that allows you to put those skills into practice in a business context, and working on some of the softer skills that are equally as important to make sure that you are a well-rounded data analyst or data engineer by the time you reach your graduation. And like we began the call with, our team is super invested in helping you make that successful pivot into a career in data. So we don't just leave you by the wayside and wish you the best of luck. We journey with you through the process of helping you gain more confidence in your application processes. We have the excellent career coaching team who really provides you with that additional layer of support. So we have concluded our presentation for this afternoon. But we are open for additional questions if any have come through. I'm just checking the chat at the moment. I do see that there have been a couple of questions from the team. So I'm going to just hand it over to either James or to Rifat to answer one or two.
I'll jump in, Danny, thanks. I'll just play some traffic controlling and I'll allocate some questions. Firstly, Thank you so much to Matthew and Kisham. I know you guys have a big day tomorrow, so I really appreciate you taking some time to chat to us, and best of luck for your final presentations tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to smash it and be in the job industry and in employment very, very soon. So I'm excited to follow your trends there. So I guess I'll take the first question. The first question is, could I, as a graduate, join the program? And I am a computer science graduate. I think this speaks so well to Matthew's story, that you have the ability to come out of graduation of uni and take the program. However, please note that our admissions process has a few checks and balances that we need to go through. So when you are part of our admissions process, we still do want to see that as much as you might have some technical skills, we want to rate your motivation. We want to understand exactly what is it that you want to see in this type of industry, and why do you feel you'd be a good fit, and really dig deep into the bones of that. So once we get a good grasp of your motivation, we look at your credentials. So we look at any previous work you've done. So if just a uni graduate, like, you might have done some summer jobs, you might have done some small jobs in between, everything counts. So we look at your resume, we have a look at that, we cross-check it to your qualifications. Obviously, a computer science qualification is quite nice and complementary because you do some programming languages. And in data science and data engineering, you will find that there's some languages that you have the opportunity to engage with. So it really does hold you in good stead. And you are able to, hopefully get through the program more seamlessly with that type of qualification and bolster your employment thereafter, because you've got a computer science plus a data qualification at the end. So it's really important. And to answer your question, yes, absolutely, you are able to do that. For the second question, I'm probably going to lean on James. So what is the difference between data engineering and data analyst, and which one would you recommend, / which is higher in demand?
That's an excellent question. So within data, there's lots of different job profiles that exist. It's pretty easy to think about it in terms of what you will be doing with most of your time. So data analysts are usually working with business stakeholders, different parts of the company, in order to figure out big insights and trends and things like that are happening with the data. And then they make recommendations off the back of it. The outputs of your work tend to be working with individuals, creating presentations, slide decks, dashboards, and that kind of thing. So it's very much about informing business decisions. Whereas data engineering is more about building the actual data sets and data warehouses that different people are going to be using. And so it's more coding based. It's more about creating databases and that kind of thing. So it depends a little bit about what you like to do with your time, what you want to do at work. They are both in demand in different ways. Data engineering is in demand, but it's probably a higher demand, but a smaller number of jobs that exist. Whereas the data analyst skill set is much broader and can go into quite a few different job profiles that are out there. You can do things like product analytics, marketing analytics, BI, dashboard development, all sorts of things like that. In general, data engineers tend to be more technical and enjoy the coding side of things a lot more. Whereas analytics type of people, they enjoy that side, but it's a lot more about working with people, making great decisions for the business, making recommendations, and doesn't require as technical of a skill set all the time.
Amazing. Thanks, James. We'll actually stay with you, James, for another one, which is, could you give us a sneak peek into your network partner companies that are currently active?
Yep. So most of the partners that we work with tend to be sort of small, medium-sized enterprises. We do quite a bit of work with data consultancies, people like 5Y, Sagacity, Beyond, people like that, and then other small companies like Brain in Hand, and other ones like that. The main thing about our network of employers is we're investing quite a bit in our sales team in order to build that out. But of course, it's really only the top sort of 10 or 15% of a cohort who will get a job within our network of employers. And for everybody else, we support them all the way through until they land a job in data on their own.
Amazing. Thank you, James. Got it. Cool. Another question. So I'll take this one. If I get an interview offer, what types of questions would they ask me? I'm assuming if you get an iO-Sphere interview offer here. So as I mentioned before, number one, motivation is important. So understanding your motivation to want to jump into this industry and whether you're coming from it or it's going to be a pivot for you. Number two, and I think you've got a nice sneak peek into the next part, which is we really want to test your understanding of the model. So what is your understanding and commitment of the acquire stage, the apply stage? And we really want to be very clear about the accelerate stage as well. There's so many good things about the accelerate stage, and I think we also want to manage expectations. So for example, when we mentioned before that we have this list of employer network partners, and if you were to get placed with them, they actually cover your course fee. We do want to impress the importance that that is firstly afforded to the highest caliber graduates that we have. So we obviously endeavor to make sure that everybody, is given the right amount of attention to get into that percentile. But inevitably, in any qualification, any boot camp, any accelerator, you are going to have some individuals that rise to the top pretty quickly. And I think it's really important for us to make sure that they are treated very well by getting an opportunity to do so. So I think it's also motivation, because if you know that's going to be a potential into your journey, I think that's an absolute good motivation. So like Hisham and Matthew, when they doing their presentation tomorrow, in the back of their heads, they're going to know, well, if I do really well and my grades are super, super good, then I have a stronger opportunity of getting into that employer network partnership. So things like that is really important, and we see it more as motivation. And I will also say that one of the strong points of Accelerate is that we actually teach you the skills to proactively engage with employers. So many people think it's so easy, like you just go easy apply on LinkedIn times 100 and you sit back and you relax. Promise you that's the quickest way to fail. So you get access to our career coaches, and they help you along the way, and they keep you in the loop of industry standards. They make sure that your profiles are quite strong. So in both parts you are winning, whether you are with the employer network part or whether you are not, which is really important. The next question, I think I'll hand over to Rifat. What is our current course fees?
So our course fees, it depends on the option that you're choosing. So for example, if you are looking at our full-time data analytics program or data engineering program, it is going to cost £5,400. This is in total. However, if you are paying upfront, the fee will be £4,900 at the moment. If you are looking at our part-time program, is a bit of a reduction in fees, as we do have less resources applied to our part-time program. So our part-time program fee is about £4,300. This is in total. If you are paying upfront, it will be £3,900.
Thanks, Rifat. Another question, I'll take this one. If I've opted to pay over 12 or 24 months, but on completion of the program, I decide that I want to pay upfront at that point, can I do so? Good question, and quite a popular one from our existing cohorts. The answer is absolutely yes. If you have the means to pay upfront as soon as you're done, you're more than welcome to do so. There's definitely preference here. So if you want to get that piece out of the way and just continue on your merry way, you can absolutely do that. If not, if you want to stick to paying over 12 or 24 months, you also have the option of doing that as well. Okay, let's see what other questions. You're welcome to add some more questions in the chat functionality while we look at one or two that's still left here. Okay, will I also get my money back if I have a job that's outside of the employer network partnership? The answer to that is no. If it's outside the employer network partnership, that would be traditional employment, and that would mean that you now actually are in a great space because you're now employed and you now get to pay back the course fee that we've invested in you over your time of studies. Okay, oh, good question. I'll hand this one to maybe James. Could a data analyst switch to data engineering or data science?
For sure. Actually, out of our cohorts that we've had so far, we've had people go from data analytics and be placed into data engineering roles. We have people come from data engineering and go to data analyst roles. It's possible to, and data science as well. It's possible for any one of those paths to happen. What we really try to make sure is that you have very broad and applicable skill sets will allow you to get access to as many roles as possible. The thing about data is that job titles are not standardized. And so at one company, a data analyst might be a data engineer. At another company, it might be a data scientist. And you have to really look under the hood of that company, that job description, to understand what is the title and what is the actual function of that job. And we'll show you how to do that during the program. One thing, though, which I will just say is that data science, in terms of more machine learning or AI, those tend to not be such entry-level roles. And so that's why we recommend that for people from an entry-level perspective, so trying to land their first jobs in data, They focus more on analytics or engineering because it's easier to get your foot in the door then, get a bit of experience, do a bit of upskilling when it comes to machine learning, and then it's easier to switch into a role like that. But they don't really exist at the entry level so much.
Thanks, James. And another one for you. At the end of the course, do I get any accreditation or endorsement on the actual course certificate?
Yes, so our course is endorsed by the British Computer Society, BCS. And so when you graduate from our program, of course, you get a certificate from us, which we'll display on LinkedIn, but you'll also get a separate certificate from BCS.
Amazing. I see a lot of the other questions are already answered. There's quite a lot of repetition. So, Rifat, is there any additional questions you might want to talk about from an FAQ standpoint?
Yes. So just to cover like a few questions that usually come up that when I am engaging with some students, I do want to cover these because, of course, if you are interested, some of it might not be in the front of your mind right now, but as you go in, it might be. So to my first thing I want to cover, for example, what technical equipment will you need to start? And I know I touched on this earlier. All you would need is a standard laptop or desktop. However, if you do have a MacBook Pro, you will require to download an application called Parallels, because we usually have some issues, but with downloading Parallels, you should be able to do the program because you are running Microsoft applications, right? So any computer, desktop or laptop should be fine, preferably a laptop, because if you are going into the apply stage and you're coming onto campus, you would want to come onto campus with your laptop. Then we have, can you work while taking the program? Right, so I know I mentioned this earlier. If you are taking the full-time program, it would be very difficult because you are going to be on your program from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday for 10 weeks. So that's why we've created our part-time program where three days in the week, in the evening, you'll have classes. So yes, you can. And the only difference there, of course, outside of being 3 days during the week, it's covered over 16 weeks instead of 10 weeks. And just to put this also in that same category, because some students ask, is this a self-paced program? No, it's not fully self-paced. There are elements of the program where you will need to do at your own pace, but generally you will need to be available for the full time from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday to complete your work. And then on the part-time program, it's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the evenings on a Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And I will do one more. Just, yeah, so some students, of course, I think, even going through the questions, they maybe are concerned around finding a job, right? So at the moment, when it comes to our overall student base, after the program, generally at the moment, we're hovering at around 83% of our students within 6 months do secure a job, right? That's where we're at this moment in time. Of course, we are improving this as we get better at presenting our Accelerate program. But of course, to be very honest, it does take a lot of hard work from our students. And that's why we really want to ensure that when you do go through the program and the Accelerate program, that you are really working with us to secure your job. But at the moment, I think I will leave it at that. Nish.
Thank you, Rifat. Amazing. I think that's all the questions we've had so far. A lot of the new ones are repetition. So before I hand over to Danny, just to wrap it up, I will say we have another cohort starting on the 7th of October. Our deadline for submission of your application is next week, Friday, which is the 27th of September. Please make sure if you are interested, we obviously advise that you ask as many questions as you'd like before committing to the program. As Rifat and many others mentioned, we really take our time in selecting the right sort of profile for this type of accelerator. It's important because we also need to make sure that as much as you can get through the competency of the first phase of the 10 weeks, that you also are able to land employment at the end. So we take that very seriously, and it's something that we hope that you also take quite seriously. The next week Friday is that deadline. If you have already submitted an application and you're waiting for an outcome, or you're still pending an offer acceptance, then please, if you have any additional questions, reach out to us. We will end this by also sending everybody a link to the recording, so you can watch this again if you've missed any parts or if you joined a bit later in the session. We also will give you a email address and a contact number, so if you want to reach us, you'll be able to do that and ask some more questions. But I do implore everyone, if you really are interested, our cohorts are not very big purposefully. We want to make sure that we are, getting, as I mentioned before, the right people on board. And to do that, sometimes we can't have super high volume cohorts. So we make sure we take our time in selecting that. So the quicker you can get us your application, the quicker we can assess it, the quicker we can give you feedback, and hopefully the quicker you can jump onto the cohort on the 7th of October. So with that, I'd say thank you so much for your time to everybody. Danny, I don't know if there's anything you want to say just to wrap it up, but much appreciated.
Awesome. That is it from our side, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely being able to share more information about iO-Sphere with you. We do hope that we will see your application and hopefully see you on one of our next cohorts. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.